get Oscar in Gangplank. We talked about the 100% win rate. We talked about the lack of bans that have come towards it. And we'll see what Shagendas bring to the table. It's going to be an Ornn here, so relatively passive top lane, honestly.
Yeah, but I kind of get it, because when you're thinking of picks, you have to go through with the Gangplank. Yes, you can answer it on the aggressive side, but then you dive into a side lane win condition. But you don't want to do that when you're playing against a Nocturne and a Twisted Fate. Yes, you have your own Silas who can respond with his own Destiny Gate, but it's never going to be the same. So I can actually respect the fact that you're just going for a tank instead.
Yeah, I also think it works great in the composition, right? Because a lot of what you want to try and do is like disengage from the back line of Fnatic so you can deal with the divers, right? Ornn, wonderful at that because you got to respect the big ult, and it means that like Diplex and Skeens can actually turn their attention to protecting Jeskla in these scenarios, while that Ornn is just providing that front line that it needs to deal with things like Brooks, like being on this area.
So I want to talk holistically about this Fnatic composition, because I feel like this is one of those comps that if you're newer to League of Legends or if you're not that high ranked, this is not self-explanatory. Like, how did they play out? Because when I see a Twisted Fate, my instant thought is aggressive.
It's all about being proactive. Like with these tools, you cannot be the one who's just sitting back trying to scale up. Like you need to find favorable skirmishes, right? You got the globals of the Gangplank, you got the globals of Nocturne, you got the globals of Twisted Fate. It's all about opening the map, cheat the tempo a little bit, be on the first move where Vitality is not in a position to answer.
Well, it's all about the LFL here, up against LVP, up against the Superliga, Spain's final chance at making it into a semi-final. And crucially, on the other side, Vitality B, they're not here to represent the LFL in the semi-finals. LFL already has 2 semi-finalists. Vitality B are here to prove themselves. They want revenge on K-Cup. During the LFL playoffs, they never got to play against K-Cup. They did better against BDSA than K-Cup did. This is an opportunity for them to get a bit of revenge of their own.
It was a tough series for them there as well. Like pretty much all the LFL games went to a best of 5. These teams are incredibly stacked up against each other. Very similar level of play. But so far, I actually will say, I think Vitality, they have proven to be the better team at European Masters so far. If they were to go on, I'm actually really curious to see that matchup. But obviously, we have this one today.
Yeah, and I kind of agree. Like for Vitality, right? Like not only are they a team that have really impressed me, like I'd have like LDLC, then Vitality B is like the second best LFL in European Masters. But it's also like incredible when you look at like the story of these team, right? Haven't been able to really make it into the main event at EU Masters yet. They like got in 2019 summer into the play-in, same in 2021, both spring and summer, but they haven't really found their footing, and now they look just so strong coming into this quarterfinals.
Yeah, I remember that. People always saying, you know, Vitality B as an organization, they're a little bit of chokers. I was even speaking to Barker as well before this tournament started on a podcast, and he never expected Vitality to get out of groups. Now he's facing them in quarters instead. So, you know, he got to walk the walk and talk the talk here.
I mean, in LFL, they've never managed to win that one, right? Second a couple of times, but never quite able to finish things out on top. I do want to quickly talk about the supports, though, because I have the privilege of being alongside 2 support mains here, so we've got plenty of knowledge on the desk alongside me. Renata versus Nautilus. Talk me about this matchup, because Renata, generally speaking, my understanding is kind of denying a lot of aggression, or being aggressive themselves, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, the Renata's going to get great push in the early stages because she's got that range, but a lot of what you're trying to do is like meet the handshake before Jack Troll's able to get in range with that hook, because if you can deny him access into the actual engage, you're going to end up coming across a lot better. Also, just when you do have that all-in engage, you've obviously got the W there from the Renata as well to keep everything safe.
And initially, you know, I thought to myself when Renata came out, she was going to struggle a little bit in laning phase, but that was only in the beginning when people went airy and the likes of that. Renata nowadays, you play as an off-tank, pseudo-tank, with Locket of the Iron Solari, with the Guardian, with the Ecto shielding, and it's just super easy to play around with in the early game. It's so hard to punish her. You're kind of just never going to die, and once you finally hit that level 6, once you finally get out of laning phase and you find yourself in the skirmishes, that's where there's a lot of pressure on Nautilus actually to find these engages where Renata is not in a grouped area and your entire team will just get hit by that ultimate.
So the big question is, how do they get those supports out of lane? Because right now we've got Skeens moving into this bottom side river on the Crab. Dagda, I feel like you're desperate for me to pass to you.
Oh no, I was just going to say, I really think that Skeens here is going to be the one that I keep my eyes on, because you've got this Volibear, right? You know that Maxi isn't going to try and have an impact on the map pre-6, so realistically, Skeens needs to be the one that's being proactive at this stage, and he's gone back down to pick up the Scuttle. He's now going to reset, but I want to see him try and make moves in towards this mid lane, like shut down Baka in these early stages, because if you can actually punish this Twisted Fate before he hits 6, it becomes a lot more difficult for him to get access in the map and start to play towards those side lanes.
I completely completely agree with that. The fact that you have a Nocturne who just gets to full clear all the time, and Skeens have not been in a lane yet. He's gone for his second clear now. He's reset. He needs to get something done before those level 6 comes through, because that's kind of where he has the advantage. Once the level 6 come through and they start playing the map, it's going to be very difficult for Skeens to keep up with the tempo.
Well, you wanted Jackdraw to get out of that bottom lane, and he's on his way towards mid lane right here, but, I mean, Baka's in a pretty safe spot, right? This would be very aggressive for Jackdraw to try and make a dive happen already, and he's just going to get the ward down onto the chickens and return towards that bottom side of the map. So we kind of reset once more. And a very quiet one, and you said you wanted to punish pre-6. Well, they're about out of time.
Well, I think that's the big thing, right, is why that ward was going down to the spot out that the Raptors had been taken. They'll also spot Maxi as he starts to creep back up towards those Raptors off of respawn. Skeens wants to punish the fact that this wave is overextended in the mid lane and knows that Nocturne isn't there because that ward.
All in the mid lane, but all in the bottom lane at the same time. Bean low on HP already, but Jeskler gets a bit of return fire, and now Bean charging forward. The Ignite ticking, and it's Rooks trying to finish the AD carry. Doesn't quite finish the kill for now.
Yeah, and in the mid lane, Flash was burned as well from Baka, so all in all, a little bit of a, what do you say, even map trade in general. But now we go down towards the bot side. Yes, you get the hook initially, but Renata, I mean, still very pseudo tanky. You get the shielding, you get the Guardian throughs again. There might be an issues over here.
Oscar in almost finding a 1v1 up against Agenda there, and we talked about this Gangplank pick, but now back to the mid lane as Maxi is just wandering on in, making sure this wave can be pushed underneath the tower, but Diplex isn't going to allow it. Baka low on HP, he's going to get all in, and Diplex literally 2v1. He doesn't give a monkeys.
Diplex is so relentless there. That's absolutely insane. You can see they want to get the freeze, or they want to get the crash in so he can't freeze. He just doesn't want to. He sidesteps the Q from Nocturne and just comes through with this solo kill. Realistically, in a 1 versus 2, Skeen's not done in the bot lane either.
Flash is available for both of the Fnatic Queso bot laners, and it means Skeens can't do anything here. His Flash already on cooldown from an earlier skirmish. So, all things considered, it's a 1-0, and it's all Diplex to start.
And I love how Vitality B have been setting up through this strong mid jungle that they have. You get Skeens with that initial gank, drag troll to ward to make sure that it's safe to go for that. And then even when you look at how Diplex reset, right? He knew where the wave was situated. He could reset, teleport back to lane, get his buy, and that picks him up, self up the solo kill.
Hook in the bottom side, Bean just going to be dashing away, and actually it's Jackdraw pulled back in. Does have his Flash available, so should be safe here. And the feathers from Jeskler will make sure that that's the case.
I'm not sure what Maxi's at, though. He's a bit far forward, and Vitality B, they're aware that he's in trouble.
Level 6 is Agenda too.
Yeah, Diplex has level 6. He can steal away Nocturne's ultimate away from Maxi. He's not even going to need it. No. Maxi flashes into the open arms of the bear, but that ain't a hook.
It's just so greedy as well. Yes, you had level 6 on Baka, but no one really had the prioritization to move first.
And now Diplex just goes in onto Baka once again.
Good trade.
He's just laying down the law on this map.
And this is not what you traditionally see in this matchup, right? Like, the Twisted Fate should be able to push in, but because of the difference in the junglers, how well they can affect this mid lane in the early stages of the game, Vitality B are punishing. Maxi overextends to get cheeky and look for a red steal, and as Goldberg was saying, no priority in lane means that he gets caught out.
Yeah, it also just felt like Fnatic Team Queso, they are just playing into the win condition of Vitality, right? It's on Vitality to be proactive with this volley bear, and they can kind of sit back to the hit level 6. Then when you hit 6 on Maxi, then you commit to a play on a lane, but this time around, they just hadn't set themselves up properly. And
honestly, I'm not going to lie, this was kind of my biggest worry coming into this. It just feels like the mid-jungle support from Vitality are that bit stronger, and they're looking to punish again.
Certainly are. Maxi's off on the wings, has that ultimate available. Diplex moving forwards, but it looks like this isn't going to turn into anything. With Rooks and Jack Troll both hovering around that mid lane, I thought we were going to get a fight.
No, they just teasing us at the moment, but I love the way that Jack Troll has been moving in these early game, and it's honestly, he's been the standout support for me throughout EU Masters with how he interacts on the map. Like, you look at that early vision that he set up to allow the gank from Skeens in towards mid lane. Look at how that wards are just littered throughout River on that bottom side. This is how Vitality B get themselves set up to allow them to continue playing through this mid lane.
Yeah, but also speaking of rotations, Rox moved up first from the bot lane, helped them get that mid lane priority, allowed allowing Maxi to go for the Rift Herald, where the trades now come through from Vitality. They get the bot side priority. They can hammer home a few platings here, but all in all, good rotations coming through. Rocks
could be in trouble here. Jack Troll's just going to get a free route. It's followed up with yet another route. Jack Troll in trouble. Jeskala uses his ulti, but Jack Troll will fall. It's one on the board now for Fnatic.
And that's just the globals we talk about there. Twisted Fate ultimate came through. Cannon Barrage from Oscarina. You need to be careful where you place yourself. If you're out of position, you will be punished.
And it also denies access to the Dragon. You'd love to be able to trade for the cross-map neutral, but because your support has just died, now you can't actually go for the Dragon because you're at a numbers disadvantage. So Fnatic basically get to sneak away the Rift Herald and get a kill on the bottom side.
Yeah, winning on both sides of them. I mean, that's basically as close to getting your cake and eating it as League of Legends gets, really. Schemes, though, will have an opportunity to start this Dragon off. You can see there is a control ward in the back of the pit, but I'm not sure the Schemes minds.
Yeah, you can also see there's actually incoming pings coming towards the top side. Cross map will be a word of the day for us, already feel like, with the amount of plays of the map that these two teams are committing to. But it is an on-you dive in. Barker is on the way up as well, so again, what's your weak side looking like?
Oscar in on the point right here. Uses that Demolish to get one plate down with the Herald coming out as well. It'll be guaranteed 3 plates. Felt like Fnatic wanted more than that one, but it seems like Barker will back off in the end.
What's the cross map though? Goldberg, that's our word. And look at Diplex, he's already moving down. He's got the TF ulted. Oh, Zeri, you're in trouble.
Oh, they at least have to step up here. Bean can't really get access to the tower while they do not have vision of Diplex. Once he shows in mid lane, that's why they step up.
One thing I will say, it's scary diving Rooks when he's on this Renata, right? That ultimate, so devastating to a dive. But 2 plates ended up going down. And I believe Jeskala got solo gold on both plates so far this game, if I'm not mistaken. So good start for Vitality. But ultimately, when we look across the map right now, Fnatic are the ones ahead in goal.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting to see kind of how they've managed to get that, right? Because it feels like it's just punishing these little mistakes from Vitality B to get that lead. You're looking at like a little bit of a CS lead for themselves as well. And I'm curious to see if Fnatic now can kind of ride this wave into the later portion of the game. Because it feels like when you hit mid-late game and they're able to play with this Nocturne TF, they have access to the map. You've got the Gangplank as well, who's got to scale to late. That feels where Fnatic are able to take over.
Exactly, but that also requires that, you know, you're not put on a timer around these Drakes. Vitality be stacking up the Drakes for themselves, putting a potential soul point as well, you know, further into the game. That is a decent win condition for them because they have the team fighting composition, and it kind of stops Fnatic from playing the map as they want to. So Fnatic, they also need to stabilize to make sure they can play to this big map.
Hey, Bean flashing the top esports logo. I like it. I like what I'm seeing. A bit painful for him, I think, but ultimately still good. One thing I've just noticed, which this is not really a big esports point, but Diplex, using the Destiny to get back to lane, doesn't just steal TF's ultimate, actually steals the skin as well. It was the damn one ulti to get into lane from the Sylas. So
wow, there's actually real money currency value in Sylas here. That's amazing.
I never knew he stole the skin as well, so there you go. Bonus on that one. I do want to talk supports here, though, for a second, because as you can see, Jack Troll in the mid lane once again, and I don't think we're going to get any action, so I want to play a little mini game with you.
Okay.
Okay. We're going to bring up a graphic here. It's going to show you some of the statistics from our 2 supports on the Rift right now. You guys have to guess which one is which, because statistically, these guys are very similar.
I was going to say, those are almost the exact same apart from the kill participation.
Doesn't matter who we say, I feel like you can just flip these stats, you know, and it will still apply
you
to
take,
them.
well, who do you want? I'll take the other side.
Okay, wait, no, I'm just going to go like, okay, right side is red side, so I'm going to say right side is Jack Troll. That's what I'm going for.
I'm going to go left, our right side is Rooks, just to make it.
Well, here we have it. It turns out the right side was indeed Jack Troll. So there we have it. A little bit of fun on this one. But crucially, looking at these statistics, you can see all about getting out of that bottom lane. The duo proximity fairly low.
Yeah, and that's the thing that actually these stats highlight is that how much these supports want to get out of lane, interact with their jungle, and actually start to move around the map and find these early kills. And it's something that both teams have really kind of benefited from. But I've got to say, I always thought Vitality B were slightly better at it, but I think Fnatic have really grown coming into this quarters because I've seen them fumble wave management, going for dives, looking for plays, but this actually looks like Fnatic have stepped up coming into the quarterfinals and are matching this early aggression from Vitality.
I completely agree. Coming into it, I kind of felt like Vitality B was just a better version of Fnatic. They're very similar in styles, and that's also what these stats highlight. They do the same. I just felt like Vitality did a little bit better, but this has been one of the better early games we've seen from Fnatic. They were very inconsistent in groups. This time around, they're so
trigger pull from Fnatic, and already health bars dropping on this one. It's going to be 1 kill going the way of Fnatic. Diplex in the middle of everyone, though, and he's already huge. Maxi keeps himself alive, but finally falls. A knock-up from Shigenda, followed by a bop from the hammer, and Jeskler gets the kill credit. Now Bagger has to flash away, but Skeens is on the chase down, has a blue smite available, has the stun available, and has the follow-up from Diplex in just a moment or two. Can he get the abscond? Can he get the abduct? Bagger's got nowhere to go, and another kill goes to Vitality.
And we just said Fnatic have been doing so well, and then they fumbled the play at the worst timing. This is not a composition that wants to go in and fight in these big old skirmishes. That's exactly what Vitality B want to do, and they punish.
Completely agree. The best thing you could have done was apply that pressure in a side lane when you have the vision on the opponent's carries. This time around, you got the main facilitators around, and you're starting to skirmish. Zigenda even moved down. He's not teleporting. He started walking 20 seconds ago, and now he's here. It just kind of speaks to the fact that, yes, we still see a strong side of Fnatic every now and then, but we also see the inconsistencies. Luckily for them, they still got the first turret in the top side, so yes, they got some gold, but giving over a team fight like this, it could have been done cleaner.
And that's exactly what I want to see them do, right? Like, you should be trading for turrets. You should be looking for isolated picks with this composition, like utilizing the fact you've got these two semi-global, or about three if you include the Gangplank as well with that ult, and trying to pick members off like that. Going into these full-bodied engages just favors Vitality B.
So on the side of Vitality so far, we've got solo laners getting a lot of gold, right? Diplex, kind of the man of the match so far in my mind on the side of Vitality B. But I'm looking at the other solo lane on the side of Fnatic, right? Because Oscarinin, while all of that was going off, finished off that tower up in the top side, already had the plates from earlier when we saw the Rift Tower play, and he's on his signature Gangplank. I feel like there's a lot of weight on his shoulders to be a big contender.
Not only that, it's also pride. He's sitting currently at 100% win rate of the entire year on this champion. If he would be handed a loss here, it'd be the first of the year. So that would also do something to the mentality a little bit.
And when you've got this lethality build as well, like, he will pop anyone 100%. That gets on top of these barrels. And especially if you think, oh, well, you know, back Maxi, they're going to go into Jeskler, he pops the Featherstorm, it's all nice and dandy, he's out of there. You can still have these Gangplank barrels absolutely decimating the backline for Vitality B. So they do have to be incredibly careful with how they approach these fights in the later portion.
I still love the way we see rotations come through from both these teams. They're still so identical, you know, moving the bot laners towards the mid lane afterwards, side lane turrets has been taken. They're just fighting on different fronts of the map right here, but it's still so identical. I still think the outlier here is Vitality B getting ahead on the objectives currently. Them getting these strikes, they're so good for them.
And I feel like the way you're mentioning how they're both being proactive, right? Both theoretically would want to be proactive and maybe aggressive on the map, but because both teams need to do that, you end up seeing them kind of like facing off in the river, but never actually quite go for the play. It
also feels like it's a little bit like, you know, they kind of stand up tall, like, you know, pop the chest out, but kind of slightly walk away from each other, because you've got them playing on opposite sides of the map, right? It's like, yeah, I could take you, but my mate needs my help over here, you know?
We've basically got the Riverside story, right? They're like clicking, walking towards each other, but they're never actually a fight, it's just a musical, guys.
Oh my god, this is so foreign to me as a Dane. I can really tell the UK fans are coming through there as well.
Yeah, it's good to be casting with you again, Gulborg. It has been far too long, but it's fun to be in the studio as well. This is the first time I've actually cast in the LEC studio, so a lot of fun. But Herald going to be coming down in the bottom side. Oscarinin has actually moved over both solo laners and the jungler down in the bottom lane.
I'm sorry, but I had to. But as you say, you are going to get the Rift Tower coming into the bot side. You've got the Fnatic starting to group up here to see if they can find that pick on Shigenda, but nice job here from Vitality B to start to move in to defend this. And you're looking at the Silence who's trying to push in top, but I don't think you'll get to that tower before this bot lane goes down.
Now that's the thing, now you're finally playing these side lanes. This is exactly what we want to see. Maybe not.
It's going to be more on the top of it as well, as Shigenda can't escape. He's exhausted, he's fleeing, and he will be taken down. Fnatic finding an opportunity.
And that's exactly how you want to do this as Fnatic, right? Pick these uneven fights, and even though it's Shigenda that they're going on to, they still take him down, they get the turret, you're opening up the map, and suddenly now you've got Oscarin who can put pressure onto the bottom side, while Bak is putting pressure onto the top. You got Maxi who can play between both. It becomes really hard to defend this as Vitality.
And that's what I love about Fnatic's playstyle right now. Despite that one single fumble they had, outside of that, they've been playing the sides really well. They've been playing, like, they have a gold lead currently, despite not being ahead of the kills. Yeah. And that's just due to the fact of how they actually play the map.
Yeah, and you'll see it here, right? You've got Silas who's pushing in top, doesn't have the teleport to come down. You only have the Xayah now resetting. So Fnatic are just like, hey, look, we have the numbers advantage. Terra's dead. Let's just go all in on this. And even if it's the Ornn, there's just too much damage, too much CC, and he can't escape.
I mean, the CC is the thing, right? You see if that's Ornn. Ornn is good against CC, and even it's still, he cannot move the entire time. So Shigenda goes down in the end. And now we see Vitality struggling to gain some control of the map back, right? With a tier 2 gone in the bottom lane, does mean fighting for this next Drake that's up in just under 2 minutes could be difficult. They've got the first 2, but they've got to keep that going.
Exactly, and it's also just how does Fnatic keep the side lane pressure going? You build out, you've pushed all the way to the bot lane inhibitors now. You got the top lane who's probably going to be the next target as well. But what will the decision making look like? Will they fight for this potential soul point about the Drake, or are they going to be trying to cross map him once again on the top side and try to get more gold in their inventory?
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? Like, although it's really nice to say, hey, Fnatic have control, they do need to find a pick before this objective. Like, you're 2 items across the board.
Great hook from Jack Troll. Rug splashes away before the feathers can find the root. It will be Vitality fighting for priority in this mid lane. And I feel like mid lane priority, that's the other side lane story we've been talking about.
Yeah, but there's no side lane priority in favor of Fnatic, right? So now Vitality B actually get themselves set up. And look at the items, right? 2 items for Diplex, 2 items for Jeskla. Not quite going to have that Mura mana, but still, this is the moment when your carries for Vitality are at their strongest.
And crucially, these honor items will also start to come through in just a moment as well before these big fights start happening. Jeskla almost finished up the Mura mana. When that comes through, he's going to be doing a lot of damage on the ranged poke. And yes, there's good range to come out from a rapid fire cannon as well from the side of Barker, but if he steps up just one bit too close, there's all the CC we saw earlier in the skirmish in River that they will be punished by.
And you have no vision. Like, that area is completely dark for Fnatic. So now you have to turn on the lights with Baka, which means you don't have that ult to try and reposition. So this becomes incredibly dangerous for Fnatic to try and contest. I think you have to give this, go and put your pressure elsewhere, because you will not win this fight.
But the positioning just look like they want to. Teleports are coming through now as well, and with Destiny Gate, they are gaining vision, but it's not really been used for much.
I mean, that's the key thing, right? We talked about lack of vision for Fnatic, but they have a twisted fate. So just pop the Destiny out. It means Vitality can't go for that Death Brush strategy, but they still have control.
Yeah, because it's more like a strobe light. That vision is now gone. Vitality B can now move into position, and if you're fighting front to back, that's not how this works!
That's how Warren loves to start things off. Cannons come into the middle of everyone, and it's a big ulti out from Rux, but it's not really enough as the dive comes out from Maxi, scares them off, gets a fear on Jeskla, but it's not enough damage, and it will be Maxi to fall in the end. Vitality kite it out. Being half HP, Oscar in half HP, but still on the Drake for now as Vitality trying to move in. Schemes low on HP. Prowler's Claw is not enough. Backer in the back line trying to finish them off. Rux turns golden, Diplex in the 2v1, and he'll find himself a kill. Vitality on top of the situation as Diplex forces a flash.
No spine from Vitality here, but they will be able to pick up the soul point on the Drake, and what a beautiful... Let me start over. They get the Drake, they get the soul point, and it's done in clean fashion.
Not close in the slightest, but I have to say that's exactly how Vitality wanted to set up for this. We talked about the front to back, yet Vitality B with this great engage off of Shigenda, and it does look a little risky because of this phenomenal Renata ult across everyone. It puts pressure onto Jeskla here, who just about manages to escape off the backside, but unfortunately, Diplex is in too good a position. So as you see the members of Fnatic try to overextend on towards Jeskla on the back line, it opens up for Jack Troll and Diplex to make their move.
Yeah, I also get my pet peeve here as well, which is Maxi got the W bailout from Renata. Instead of flashing forward, he flashed out only to die.
Here we go, Shigenda with another great ult backer. Turns golden though, but he's not getting out of that one. Chained up and then bitten down by Skeens. Vitality with a big pick right now. Baron is on the map, but I'm not sure that they could go for that one.
And it feels like this is the moment that Fnatic will look back at it and be like, we messed up here. It was contesting that soul point. Remember, you had the opportunity to just go topside and play the open map again. Instead, you opted in for these small skirmishes with Vitality B. They're now on soul point. You just died again. Yes, you still have a gold lead, but now you're on the clock. 3 minutes and 40 seconds. That's the infernal soul for Vitality.
So my big question then, because we keep saying we want to see Fnatic playing the side lanes, who matches up against Diplex right now? Because I feel like Diplex, he's monstrous. He's got 10 stacks on the Dark Seal. He's got 2 items already, plus his boots.
And I love that storyline as well, because Diplex as a player for the longest time has just been a name where 2 years ago they're already saying, like, this guy could be LEC ready. Do you know how old he was 2 years ago?
I have no idea.
He was 16 2 years ago. He's 18 years old today. And that's the massive performance he's putting out. Solo kill in a 1 versus 2. And as you said, who's going to match him on side? Yes, you can put Oscar in against him. But right now, they'll be fine. It's not going to be like kill action.
Yeah, and especially when you don't really have control of the game anymore for Fnatic, how do you even set up your sides? Like, you can try and push in, but you've got big resets coming through. Diplex, as you said, is going to be able to take over on one end. You don't really get to play up past River because the vision is fully controlled by Vitality B in that area. So now you can't really push out and play the composition style you want, which is trying to make these picks. picks.
I think one of the exciting things about Diplex as well is that, we were chatting before the series, and I asked the room at large, like, mid-lane matchup, what do you guys think? And everyone was kind of like, it's not really the matchup that we're looking at today. It's not really the focus. And Diplex, I think, heard us and was like, I am the focus. He's here to show up, and he has been so far. And on this Silas, certainly a pick that can continue to dominate throughout the game. But crucially as well, Jeskler getting towards that 3-item spike. Feels like Vitality are massive, and Oscarinin might find that out firsthand, but then he did list lazily to the left. That was enough to stop Shigenda.
Well, there we have it. Ornn as well, coming to answer the GP in side lane. The Ornn items have gone through. You can see it on the Eclipse. He got himself at the Frozen Fist as well there. And they just need to stabilize as well. As Vitality, just don't overextend.
They want to go for it once again onto the bear. This time as Jeskler sets down the feathers, and it stops Fnatic moving forward. They are allergic to tickles, and that's enough. Is now Jack Troll hit a wall that I don't think he wanted to hit, but it's okay.
Now, a really nice job there from Skeens, though. Like, absorbs the incoming gold card from Bako with his own ultimate. So you're kind of trading, and look at the amount that was used there by Fnatic. Both the top, jungle, and mid, no more resources with the ultimates, which is why you're seeing Vitality B, who only had to use one ult, now start to teeter over towards this Baron, see if they can draw Fnatic into that fight.
Oscarinin going to be the target here, flashes towards the rest of his team, and it's actually Jack Troll pulled back in, CC'd up. One more hit would finish the job, and the Ignite does the trick. Diplex into everyone, but rooted up immediately, and that's great bit of play from Baka to peel for the rest of his team. Fnatic feels like are in charge of the fight. Jeskler trying to turn that story around. Shigenda against the wall. It doesn't feel like Fnatic actually do any damage, though.
God, Rux has been an absolute hero in these fights. The fact he's getting these big takeovers, and as well, those handshakes consistently stopping follow-up engages. It interrupted Shigenda there from actually getting on towards Maxi. That could have been a very different fight if it wasn't for Rux.
Especially because there's so much pressure as well. He's pretty much the best team fighting scenario they have outside of the barrels and cannon barrage. So the fact he continuously finds these members, it's so great to have a look at. And then good handshake at the beginning, hostile takeover comes through, and it's just done as easily. And I think this is the moment where the fight gets a little bit messy as well afterwards. But we don't get to see that. There's 30 seconds on to watch straight. We'd much rather have a look at the setup, and once again, look at the vision control.
Yeah, it's all in favor of Vitality B, and once more, you're coming through these chokes as Fnatic, which sets up beautifully for Shigenda. Like, this is where Fnatic are starting to fall apart. It's on their objective setup and getting control of these waves.
Vitality B, the Plains team here, or one of the Plains teams for the LFL, and they want to prove themselves. They want to get this first game on the board, and they're one dragon away from a significant win condition. The Destiny used once again, but once again, it doesn't really achieve too much for the side of Fnatic. They get a pull here, but Shigenda's too tanky. Again, Fnatic's comp doesn't feel like it does much damage. Diplex has a cannon barrage available right now. He's trying to make his way through the flank. Here's the ult from Shigenda. Here's the ult out from Diplex, and onto the back line, the solo laners go. Looking for the Drake, though, in the meantime, as Skeens backs back out of the play. Bean trying to finish him off, but he survives. Bean cannot cut the bear down. 2K on the Drake, and it's taken by Vitality. And now with Soul in hand, they march forward. Bean trying to kite it out, but Flash stunned. Diplex jumps into the middle of everyone. Oscarinin low on HP. Diplex forced away. Bean getting damage out. Jeskler flashes, but Bean answers.
And just about able to escape off the back of that beam of run, but it may not be over as Skirnin trying to see if he can get onto Shigenda. Some good damage, but Vitality B will limp away their prize in hand.
And you have to feel the momentum is just going over to Vitality now. You no longer can just allow yourself to open up the map. Baron is on the cards now for Vitality. They will have to set up around that. And look at the flank once again from Diplex. Not on Vision, coming in with his own cannon barrage, which is AP scaling as well. It offers so much zoning potential.
Yeah, and I think Bean did a great job here. Like, this engage from Diplex was to get onto Bean, but the problem is you take Maxi out of the equation, the jungler is gone, Diplex is still threatening from the side, and it just means that Vitality B turn back towards the dragon, take it away, and take away that opportunity for Fnatic to actually fight.
It got messy again, but once again, you highlighted Rox earlier. I want to highlight him again. The hostile takeover here, very good for allowing Diplex to go down, but afterwards it's just playing retreat. It's Vitality that won that fight.
Being just about walking away at the end of it as well. And look at Skeens and Diplex right now. Shigenda as well, cranking those Ornn items out. He's basically an Ornn item factory at this stage in the game. It feels like Vitality finally having control, but still 2,000 go down.
Yeah, and this is it. Like, it's heartbreaking to see, because for Fnatic, like, they've actually done a really good job in the early game of, like, cross-mapping, playing towards trying to, like, deny Vitality B this lead. But it feels like with the composition that they've drafted, they just aren't able to get the coordination that they need down to play these teams team fights against Vitality B. I honestly think if you come back into a game 2 with a composition that just butts heads team fights against Vitality B, this could be Fnatic coming out on top.
100%, especially with the early game that came out, but it just felt like, you know, the draft became too hard to play in the mid game. Like, it is a very macro heavy comp, and if you fail on that aspect, well, an easy to execute team fighting composition like Vitality, it will just take over, especially now with Infernal Soul in hand.
And the crazy thing is, so many of these fights, I feel like we see Fnatic in a good position and like massive CC out onto the side of Vitality. The Vitality players don't get to play for a long time. There's no actual damage coming out from anyone on Fnatic. Nobody actually dies.
I will say, Oskirnen, if he gets going, he's gonna hurt. 3 items now completed. He's got that last Whisper, so we can actually do damage to this Orin as well. It feels like he has got to be the carry now for Fnatic. And this is a man who has stepped up already for Fnatic. As Gulberg pointed out, 100% win rate on this Gangplank. He needs to keep the dream alive here for Fnatic.
Not to mention as well, the only Spanish player on this LVP Superliga representative, right? He is the hope of Spain right now. That's all on his shoulders. Oskirnen in a good position, as you say, 3 items he can carry, but we need to see the team in a good position for him to be able to do that.
And it's mad to see, right? Like an 18-year-old, a guy who started in the Spanish league at 15 years old. We've heard Noah talk about how much he has grown. Well, he's got to show us.
Well, he's in trouble. Good flash, though. Will get knocked up, and the rest of the team can jump on in. Oskirnen turns into bailout, but no damage to finish a kill. He falls. We've set him up for failure. We've cast a curse, the poor man. And now Bean is getting beamed in the back of the pit. Can't even hop over in time. It's 2 easy picks for Vitality.
It's the classic, and we just talked about it there as well. Fnatic, they're just getting so desperate. They know that they need to gain control over this Baron Pit if they want to be able to contest it. But the small fighting potential that there is in Vitality B's composition, the skirmishing, the CC, we've mentioned it so many times. All they can do right now is get the mid lane turret while they're losing the Baron.
Diplex going for a 1v3 here. Finally has Jack Troll moving in as well. They're going to commit to a 2v3. Baka goes into the bailout. There's one. Can he get the heal? Diplex! Oh, so close to surviving as Jack Troll finds himself a double kill. Oh, the anchor. We had a chance of support combat. We had a chance of a triple kill, but it slips through his fingers.
I was so ready. I was ready for the hook. I was like, Jack Troll, you're about to do it. You're about to put Rook to this place. But no, it will in fact be Vitality B who are able to get the fight. They get the Baron. They're getting everything in this game.
And once again, replay coming through. Flash just still gets hit by the slow, and that's enough for him to get hit up by the knock-up afterwards. And while this is normally a good position to fight in, if you are Renata and the team with Renata, you're so far behind now. You're playing against the Infernal Soul. The composition is just better. Team fighting for Vitality, and they're just doing better right now.
And they're doing such a good job of playing away from the strengths of what Fnatic want to do, right? Like, you look at the vision control that's still there in that topside jungle. It's like, how do you try and look for picks? How do you try and look for isolated members? And in fact, it's actually Vitality B who are firing Oskirnen off on his own. It's just so well orchestrated by Vitality B to play to what is their strengths.
And despite the fact that Vitality have had control of the Drakes all game long, this is the first time we're seeing them actually have a gold lead. Rooks almost going down. Here's Shigenda with the Horn, finds the knock-up, but the rest of the team can't quite follow up. TP in from Diplex. Is he going to go for this one? We saw him go for more aggressive plays than that across the game. Going to be nothing.
But that's 45 seconds until the Elder Dragon. Now you get to reset. You didn't, well, unfortunately Baka invested his ult, but you hadn't used a huge amount up until that point. But you got to look at Jeskla. He's not going to have his ult available for this Elder fight. If Fnatic can pull the fight out quick enough, it's going to be on a very quick timer though.
But still, we're talking about stopwatch. It's 3 right now in the inventory of Vitality. There's Cleanse and Jeskla. Even the biggest or even the smallest and dimmest lights for Fnatic Team Queso right now, they're almost being blown out.
And I think we need to look at Maxi over the next couple of minutes here, because this Elder could be everything. A steal from Fnatic would be enough. Bean on 2.5, 2 3/4 items right now. So close to the 3-item spike that we always talk about on that Zeri. Vitality B in position to start the Drake off. Skeen's fairly low on HP, gets a bit of honey fruit, but just have to be cautious not to get poked out.
And now Jeskla has the ultimate back up and all the stopwatches in the world. And this is the engage.
Horn comes through. There's one knock-up, and immediately Paranoid used to dissuade. That's a double ulti that does not connect. That's bad news for Fnatic Queso right here. It's going to be tough for them to push in, and Vitality know it. They start this Drake off. Blue Trinket used just for a bit of vision, but almost everything on cooldown. Cannon Barrage is there, as is Bean's ultimate, but that's all Fnatic have. Gold card ready. Here we go with the engage, and is Rux removed from the scene. He doesn't get chance to do anything. And Stender happy to tank up in this top side. Jack Troll goes back in, and Vitality sting like a wasp. Baka tries to escape, but there's nowhere to go. And Vitality B take game one.
Fnatic team Quest so demolished in that team fight, and they fall to the hand of Vitality with a better team fighting composition. They play it out phenomenally, and they should be able to close out the game now.
Where'd they go? Like, I was looking at the screen, I was like, they just disappeared. I was like, that's a cool magic trick, and looks like your Nexus is about to disappear next.
And it feels like Vitality totally on the same page. You snap your fingers and the whole team dives on in. They weren't even the dive composition, but Vitality B representing themselves here as they take game number one in the series. They'll look for a bonus kill onto Rux here, but more importantly, 1-0 against Fnatic.
And they do it in a very clean fashion. There was one little slip up as well down towards the bot side where Fnatic did play that composition very well. But outside of that, I mean, Fnatic, they just couldn't show up even in the individual prowess like Baka, solo killed in the